I am absolutely delighted to be hosting this first panel of the day with these three wonderful women sitting beside me. As we heard, today's topic is Women in the Trades, Leadership, Grit and Growth. I am Carly Roper, VP of Sales here at Simpro, and we have got an exciting panel about leadership, mentorship and resilience today. So I'd like you to all give a very warm welcome to Callie Sims, Construction Accountant at Gebie Civil and Construction, Michelle Walsh, Commercial Director at Star Precision, and the lovely Lisha Li, Head of Market Development at Rilla. Ladies, thank you so much. So let's dive straight in, and maybe I'll start with you, Michelle, to get us started and as a way of introduction for everyone in the room. I'd love to begin with your origin story and what initially drew you to your career in the trades.
So growing up, I wanted to be an astronaut. Then the glasses happened, so I realised couldn't do that. So if you can't fly it, build it. I thought engineer. Got to university, realised I can't do maths in 3D. So I pivoted, and this might be a bit controversial. I did a law degree. I got to my last year and looked around and realised that they weren't my people, and I did not want to write wills, write pleadings, do that kind of work. It just didn't interest me. So I did what every young Australian does when they can't decide what to do next. I went on a working holiday. So I went to Canada, was doing admin, and I ended up working on a $3 billion road project, and I realised I loved projects. I loved construction, just how exciting every day was. You didn't know what was happening. Came back to Australia, I did some work in coal mining, so construction, did fly in, fly out with that, and went more towards project management. I worked for a power station doing projects, and I now work for a small business that's based in Billawheeler in central Queensland, mostly helping with contracts, but also trying to grow the business and develop it. So they're looking at their next move. How do they move out of Billow? And so what I really love is I just don't know what's going to happen day to day. Sort of I can go and plan my day and think, yep, I'm going to review this contract all day today. And then something happens and we jump on that. And I also really like that everything that we're doing is making a difference day to day to people. You sort of, whether it's fixing a light in someone's house and making their life better, or doing work, we've got a hospital project at the moment, so it's going to just really improve, small regional communities that we're sort of putting these improvements in. So I love that aspect of it, and that's what drew me to it, and that's what keeps me there.
Thank you so much, Michelle. And what she hasn't told you as well, I've had the pleasure of getting to know these ladies over the last couple of days and weeks as we've prepped for this, but she's also very creative and has her own handbag design business, and she makes them herself. So she is a multifaceted person. Callie Sims, why don't we hear from you?
Yeah, so, is my microphone working?
No, maybe just project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I work for Gebie Civil and Construction, which is on a remote island in the Gulf Carpentaria. It's a small Indigenous island. There's a mine there. I've lived there for about 6 years. I was doing payroll first, so for about 7 years I was processing all the payroll. Had the opportunity to become the construction accountant. The reason why I wanted to go into the accounting side is that Gebie actually builds a lot of the infrastructure for the local Indigenous community, so you could actually see the difference we were making on the island. I realised it's not all about bricks and mortar, it's about people, culture and purpose. What surprised me the most about the building industry is that it's very collaborative. It's all about teamwork. It's working with trades on the ground as well as project managers, finance and admin. We're all a piece of the puzzle to make it all happen.
Yeah, and Callie also is a very busy woman with multiple businesses, so another impressive person up here on stage. And Lisha, finally yourself, I know you flew in from the States yesterday. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the business you're working for.
For sure. Great to meet everyone here. My name is Lisha, and my story is a little bit different compared to the these two lovely ladies here, I think it makes a little bit more sense to talk a little bit about Rilla, because we're not in the trades, we serve people in the trades, and then explain how we got here. So Rilla, we're the leading speech analytics software for people who sell in person. So this is more on the resi side of the trades. So when your technicians, your sales reps talk to the homeowners or your customers, they can record that conversation through their mobile app, and then we'll transcribe, analyze, and give them feedback using AI so they can improve their sales. And it also gives the sales manager, service manager the visibility so they can coach everyone more effectively and more efficiently to coach everyone from an average player to the top performers in the field. And as you can hear from this is a tool that can work for many industries that sell in person. As a matter of fact, Rilla was set to become kind of what Google did for the offline world. So in the US, there are about 10 million sales conversations happening every single year. And these businesses are making business decisions on big business decisions, if they're going to cut costs, increase spends, all that stuff, with very little visibility on what's happening on the revenue drivers. Is the business down because the salespeople just didn't feel like selling this month, or is it because the customers didn't like our products? They didn't have the visibility to that. So we wanted to index on that, and this could work for the builders, retail, auto, all these industries. But why the trades? Actually, I would love to ask you guys that question, because we went out to all of these businesses. We're like, hey, this is a tool you guys can use to increase visibility. And the trades were the first people that really wanted to use Rilla, and they actually helped us grow from a startup to where we're right now, from 2022. We're one of the fastest growing startups in the world now. And you guys did that because you felt the pain of not seeing the visibility, but then you actioned on it. So that's what surprised me the most. You guys are the innovators. Like if you were asking me in high school for people in the trades, I would have never thought, you guys are gonna adapt to technologies. It's more about your craft. But today I learned, wow, you guys feel the pain and you actually action on it. So my short answer is it's the people. It's the people that drew us to this industry.
Awesome. And I might go back to you, Kelly. What's your experience been working as a woman in the trades? Have you found that there's some perceptions about you or things that you've come up against?
Absolutely. So within Gebie, our CEO is female, but all the other management team and a lot of the tradies are male. So it's a very male-dominated industry, which, was a bit daunting to begin with. But, after some time, I worked with everybody, I proved myself, built the relationships, and now we've got a fantastic team. So, to begin with, it was a little bit daunting, but we got there.
Yeah, and what about you, Michelle?
So I've got a bit of a story that I think there's always an unconscious bias. Everybody has that bias that they're just probably not aware of. So I was working in a remote construction office. There are about 40 of us in the building, and I was the only woman. And had someone walk in one day looking a bit lost, and they came straight to me and started asking me, they wanted pens and stationery, because that's just a bias. And the reason that I remember this particular occasion is I helped them as much as I could and sent them on their way. But one of the other staff members, he came over to me afterwards and just said, did he just come to you because you're a woman and he just assumed you were admin? And it was really good to have that sort of validation of someone seeing that bias and then questioning it in themselves. And so the bias is there, but what I really like is that particularly younger generation, you're really seeing people question it and challenge it, and maybe they have that first thought, but they pull themselves up and have that, just because it's a woman doesn't mean that they're the admin or they're the person taking notes, that maybe they're the tradie, maybe they're the project manager. And so you do have that challenge, but I really do see that it's changing, which I think is good.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, and I think that's an important reminder for everyone in the room, isn't it? I know I have unconscious bias. Being a woman in sales sometimes as well can be a very male-dominated industry, so I hear what you're saying there. I think that leads me to some thinking around mentorship and how that's impacted, I know, my own career, but with people raising you up as a woman in the trades, mentorship I think is really important, and hopefully we've got a whole lot of allies and people that are willing to be mentors in this room. What has that played as a role in your professional growth, and what advice could you give to maybe some other women that are seeking mentorship? I don't know who to throw it to. Maybe you, Lisha.
I think especially in a male-dominated world, the women all want to help each other. So my general experience is just ask. Always seek ally and ask for any help you need, any advice. And if you see someone who you feel like you could help them.
Yeah, I think that's so important, and I don't think it's just women helping women. I think some of the best mentors I've ever had have been male, so I think it doesn't matter what gender you are, really, does it? So
it can be surprising
who
will be a mentor and who's open. You sort of come across people that you think might have a certain mindset and can be really surprised at how much of an ally or advocate or even just a teacher. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a matter of being open and just identifying those people. And then also, if you see someone within your business that is a good mentor, of helping them become a mentor. It's not something natural for everyone, and just identifying those people and leading them along so that they can learn to do that. And sharing.
Yeah, I think that's really important. So going back to your career journeys, I know this is something that I've definitely felt along the way. In fact, I feel it right now being up here on stage. But do you ever get a sense of imposter syndrome, and how have you overcome it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I've had different jobs in different industries. So I commenced as a travel agent and then moved into real estate. So I actually worked as a property manager for 15 years. So I worked in between owners, tenants, as well as organising tradespeople to complete repairs and maintenance. And I commenced that employment when I was quite young. I was 20, 21. So I had sort of a barrier that was a weakness of mine, I guess, that I looked upon, was a lot of owners would have properties that are multi-million-dollar properties. Now, why would they leave that multi-million-dollar property in the hands of somebody that's 20, 21? So I had to really work hard, prove myself, be professional, and that was something that was quite difficult to overcome. And I guess that made the imposter syndrome, I thought that I wasn't good enough. So I had mentors that actually brought me up and said, you can do this, you do your job well.
Fantastic. What about you, Lisha?
100% agree. I feel like I personally have felt imposter syndrome all of my life, and I can't speak to everyone in the room, but I feel like it's a thing that's amongst men and women. But one thing that actually really helped, this might be advice for women in the room, is I read this book by Sandberg. She was the VP of global sales at Google. She wrote this book called Lean In. And one advice she said was that when seeking promotion or applying to a job, men actually would apply even if they only meet like 60% of the criteria, and women would only apply when they fit 100%. And that really spoke to me because, I only applied for jobs that I felt like I fit 100% of the criteria. And with that, I realized, whoa, my biggest enemy is actually myself. I need to fix my mindset. And from then, every time when I question myself, I realize, oh, is it me, or do other people think the same? So I think it's just a mental shift that kind of really helped me.
Yeah, I think that's so important, and we are the stories that we tell ourselves, and so it's good to fill your brain with positive stories so that you can get over things like that. So quick fire round of questions for you guys. Maybe start with you, Michelle. What are your hidden strengths?
Communication.
Okay.
So I think communication is so important. It's not just communication to sort of customers, it's just communication within the team and body language, like really looking at body language and being able to particularly if you have male-dominated workers, they're not going to say if they're upset. You really do need to be clued into that body language and just tell that someone's not quite right today. And then being able to just pull them aside and have a conversation that they're comfortable with, that maybe they'll tell you what's going on, that they've had an argument, that there's a problem at home, and getting them to open up and not be so isolated. I think it's like, particularly if you do have a lot of men, that they just don't talk. They just keep those emotions closed up and they just won't share. So,
I'm not sure if everyone agrees, but what about you, Cal?
Adaptability
Yeah.
is huge. You need to be able to adapt to different, me working in different industries.
Yeah.
I have 3 hats on a permanent daily basis. So I'm the construction accountant at Gebie, but I also have my own bookkeeping business doing business tax. And 2 months ago, my husband and I just bought a pub. So
It's crazy.
I sleep not so much every night. I work in my sleep. So yes, I have to be able to jump from one hat to another, working across building, hospitality and accounting. So
Very busy.
communication is a big one. I agree with Michelle.
Yeah. What about you, Lisha?
Working in your sleep is definitely a strength I also have. I think communication, being able to read body language and also really listen to people. Working on a project, it's very important to find the common ground so you can work together. And the goal you seek, that is very important. And usually when I listen to people, find out what they need, then we find a way to execute.
Yeah. And this is one for both you, Michelle, and you, Callie. I know both of you have lived in really remote locations and been either fly-in, fly-out workers or, as you have, lived really remotely. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that and your experiences as women in that sort of environment?
Yeah, so I am actually going to Groote Eylandt next week. So I'm away from home for a week.
Maybe tell us where it is. I
Yeah.
don't know if everyone knows where it is.
So Groote Eylandt is a little remote island in the Gulf of Carpentaria. It's only 50 kilometres, I believe, in diameter. I'm not quite sure of the population, maybe about 10,000 people. The biggest thing that's on the island, it used to be BHP, but now South 32. They mine manganese. And we've got the Civil and Construction company, but that's a sister company to Gebie, which is a not-for-profit organisation. We also manage the Groote Eylandt Lodge on the island. A lot of our workforce at Gebie Civil and Construction is FIFO, and they work 3 weeks on, 1 week off. So we have both male and female tradies. So that can be very hard on relationships.
Yeah.
My husband, he worked in the mine for 14 years. 8 of it was as FIFO, so he missed out on growing up with the children.
Yeah.
But a lot of women do the same thing, so it can be tough.
Yeah. What about you, Michelle?
yeah, it can be really challenging just being away, and just the travel as well can get really exhausting on people. And I think one of the most challenging times, we had a fatality on site, and just it really shook everyone. And just that was where the communication came in, of just keeping an eye on everybody, and even some of the senior people. So the project manager that had been in charge of that area, we could see that he was really struggling, and just being able to have that quiet conversation with him, because when you are working remote, you don't have that support network that you'd normally have. You sort of can't go home at night and have a conversation with your partner, that you are stuck in this camp in the middle of nowhere with sort of people that you work with, sort of strangers. And a lot of the men, sort of, they'll have their workmates, but they're not really friends that they can have a conversation with. So I found I was having a lot of those conversations with people that possibly weren't friends, but they were on my team. And so just keeping an eye on them, and just recognising that remote can be extra challenging, because you don't have those services sort of there's not a counsellor, you can't go to a psychologist,
Yeah.
that sort of remote telehealth
Yeah.
to do anything like that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And I know I asked you about your hidden strengths before, but what specific leadership qualities do you think you believe are most crucial for success in the trades? And I might go for you, Lisha.
Oh, yes. The thing that jumps out at me the most is accountability, and that's 3 parts. One is you have to first define kind of what opportunities in the business you see there's an opportunity for improvement. 2 is you kind of have to define the KPIs and metrics that will get you to the goal. And then 3rd is where the accountability comes in, where you can make sure people are on track to hit the goals. And one of the things our clients did was actually they reviewed all of the conversations in Rilla, they queried, they were like, oh, what objections come up during these sales conversations the most? And they found over the past 3 months, it was price objection. Over 56% of conversations had price objections where the customers were like, oh, this is too expensive, I don't want to buy. And they were like, oh, we have to fix that, we have to lower it. So they find 2 things they want to do to decrease that price objection. One is do better discovery, understanding where the customer's pain point is. It's not just like, oh, what is broken? It's like, oh, what pain do you experience from the broken AC, right? 2 is actually doing more, delivering the value of your solution before presenting the price. Because if you just do price, people are like, oh, I'm not paying that much for this project. And they're gonna go to your competitor, right? So they define these 2 things. They train their sales reps and the technicians on the talk tracks that they can talk to with the customers. So they can track, oh, like Josh is presenting value 95% of the time versus John is doing it 15. So then they can pull John aside and say, hey, like you gotta deliver the value or you're gonna get stumped on the price objections. And with that, they tracked again. So in, I think, mid-August, they were around like 50% price objection. And then by end of September, they lowered to 27%. So they saw a huge change because they were able to have the visibility into the process and actually give people the accountability. Because if you don't give them accountability, they can't even track their progress.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. What about you, Cal?
Across,
Sorry, I've just shortened your name to Cal now.
that's all right.
So, yeah.
I answered anything. Across my career, I found the most important leadership qualities in trades are communication, integrity, adaptability, and accountability. So clear communication, so everyone knows what's expected. Integrity, so people trust me. And adaptability, because things don't always go to plan. Mm-hmm. And I also lead by example. Following through on what I say and staying calm under pressure. Being approachable and supportive helps teams feel confident and motivated to do their best.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think applicable really to the trades and any industry. Integrity is so important and building trust with communication. So that's gorgeous, Kelly. And what about you, Michelle?
I think one that's underappreciated is a bit of vulnerability, of being able to admit when you're wrong and when you've made a mistake and then recovering from that. So everyone is going to make mistakes, and if you can show your team how to make a mistake, well, not how to make a mistake, but how to recover from a mistake and how you handle that, and that can then help them grow, that they're willing to make those mistakes because they know that you're not going to yell at them and tell them off and sort of speak down to them, that they know, hey, the boss makes mistakes too. So I'm allowed to sort of grow and take some of those risks.
Yeah, I think it's psychological safety, they say, isn't it? Building psychological safety in the workplace. Finally, looking ahead, what do you see as the biggest opportunities and challenges for women entering the trades, and how can we, I think this group in the room is a really great place to start, collectively pave the way for their success? I'll ask you, Michelle.
I think the fact that we're having conversations like this is just huge, that it's something that we're sort of recognising and giving people the tools and the skills to sort of really bring women in and make trades not just, when you think of a tradie, that it's not just that stereotypical bloke, that it can be anyone. So I think just, having the conversations and I see the younger generation as just a lot more open. It's just our little 17-year-old apprentices just have a completely different viewpoint, and it's really nice to see that they're country kids, they're growing up in central Queensland, but they're still a lot more open than you'd expect, and just willing to accept that women can be in charge, that women are their peers, and I think there's just so much opportunity with this younger generation and the way that they are just looking at things, and we can learn from them.
Yeah, fantastic. And what about you, Callie?
I'd say don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. Certainly me sitting here today, I'm well out of my comfort zone. Couldn't even eat breakfast this morning. But look, when I was approached to be the construction accountant, I didn't think I was good enough. I knew there was a lot of men in the management side. I'd done payroll. Yes, I've done real estate. I had an understanding of how it all worked, but I didn't think I was good enough. But I had some really good mentors that said, yes, you know, you can do it. I'm here to support you. A lot of my colleagues were there to support me. You know, there's this fallacy of, you know, men can't be nurses and women can't be plumbers or electricians. That's not like that anymore. We have quite a few very good plumbers that are female that work for us, and carpenters. I guess, step out of your comfort zone. If you get an opportunity, go for it.
Yeah.
What have you got to lose?
Fantastic, and I think that's a great way and a great message to wrap this. I would really love it if all of you gave a huge round of applause for these marvellous ladies that are sitting with me today. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining me on stage. I've really appreciated the conversation, that you've been so open and vulnerable, and hopefully you guys can take something away from that. I hope you enjoy the rest of Simprosium and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.